In this video, we're going to focus on the 5 major topics that I will break down the lessons from this book into. And I'm going to call this the best wealth lessons that I've learned because that's the first topic, the difference between wealth and riches. And it's really important to understand the difference. Like the premise of this book is that how you think about money is really way more important than what really happens in the world because that's how you act. You don't act rationally when it comes to money. You act more emotionally when it comes to money. So, what's the difference? The first thing which I want to say, which I really agree with, is spending money to show people how much money you have is the fastest way to have less money. Now, initially, when someone gets their business running or when someone maybe inherits a huge amount, a lot of people, because of social media, partly social media is to blame, want to show off the money. And a lot of people also think that people who have an expensive car, for example, are the people who have money. And what Morgan Housel in this book explains with this beautiful example is that someone driving $100,000 car might be wealthy, but the only data point you have about their wealth is that they have $100,000 less than they did before they bought the car, or they have $100,000 more in debt. That's all you know about them. This is such a good explanation. Now, apart from the psychology side, that people, when they look at an expensive car or an expensive watch or an expensive house, they basically imagine themselves being in that car. They don't really praise the person who's driving that car. Now, that's even if we keep that aside, what's important is when you're looking at this person driving this car, it basically means they've spent money to buy that car. So they had negative $100,000 on their balance sheet, or that they've taken a loan of $100,000 to buy the car. A lot of people do that to show how rich they are. So that really is not wealth. Wealth is what you actually keep as your net worth at the end of the day, right? So wealth is what you don't see. That's the biggest takeaway from this topic. And it's really important to crack this mindset because once you're able to understand this, you'll make a lot more sense of all of the real wealth, which is really hidden, things that you cannot see with the eye, right? So we can't see people's bank accounts or brokerage statements or investing accounts. So we rely on the outward appearances, the watches, the clothes, the shoes, the cars, the houses, and whatnot to understand their financial success. Now, this is actually one of the reasons why I share my investing portfolio. I just share my screen, I pull up my investing portfolio in most of my videos. And the reason why I do that is because that's the kind of thing that you need to see when you have to look at wealth. You don't have to see the car. You don't have to see. In fact, someone actually commented on one of the videos, which car do you drive? And it's a second-hand hatchback. So I didn't even feel like replying to that comment. That's nothing fancy, but it gets you from point A to point B at the biggest car in the world. It's enough to protect you from rain, from a storm, from if it's too much sun. You're inside this box, which has a roof, and you can turn on the air conditioning. That's really why and how we use the car as a family. So for us, it's not important what car it is. But the point is, when you want to really see wealth, you have to look into the bank accounts. You have to look into the investing statements. And that's really hard to get access to, which is why the core principle of my channel, because I know personal finance YouTubers and influencers who have so much debt, who don't have money to pay their bills, who are going into losses with their businesses and all that kind of stuff. I really just pull up my investment portfolio and showcase that, right? Now, I'm not saying that others don't have that. It's just that you have to stop comparing by the things that you see that people have because you don't see what's behind that. You don't see if it's a debt, if it's a loan, if it's real wealth, it's probably hidden from you. So wealth is what you don't see. Here's another interesting analogy, which I really like because I'm also into fitness and health. Exercise is like being rich. You think, I did the work and I now deserve to treat myself with a big meal. Wealth is turning down that treat meal and actually burning net calories. So the core equation of weight loss, for instance, is that you burn more calories than you consume. So you are in a net calorie deficit. Exercise, if you look at the equation, just by the equation, is probably the worst way to lose weight because you can burn 100 to 100 calories, which you can easily just eat back in a sandwich or something like that after you finished your workout. Exercise is great for so many other things, and I exercise consistently. But what I'm saying is, if you were just to look at the equation, burning net calories is way more important. So you could do that by eating less, much easier than you could do by burning more, right? So what's left in your bank account, in your investing portfolio, is how wealthy you are. And the best way to do this is by measuring your net worth. I do have a video on this and I have made a net worth tracker. You can find the link of the tracker in the description of this video. And you should really start tracking your net worth because that was one of my money habits that has really changed the game for me. So that's the first broad topic. Now, the second one is the power of compounding. I absolutely love this. I've spoken about this in a lot of videos. The trick in investing is to survive long enough for compounding to work its magic. And the magic rarely happens with time. The maths shows this, the data shows this. Irrespective of market returns, compounding happens on whatever returns you get. And that's why I like compounding. You can get a little bit lesser returns, but it'll still compound in the long period of time. Which is why I've highlighted this. You don't need tremendous force to create tremendous results. If something compounds, if a little growth serves as the fuel for future growth, a small starting base can lead to results so extraordinary they seem to defy logic. And you can pull up any compounding calculator out there on the internet and you can see the magic happen in front of your eyes. You can put a very low return rate and you can just keep extending the amount of time. So this is by Warren Buffett, a good investor by the mere fact that he had a lot of time. He's been a good investor since he was a child. So he really has the benefit of time. I think there's a lot of other data and beautiful quotes by Morgan Housel where he talks about how most of his wealth were made in the last 10 years and so forth. If he was to retire after 60, he would probably be unknown by most of us. So the time is really the big factor when it comes to compounding. The third topic is about defining enough. And this is really important because most people don't define how much money they need very effectively. And most people don't define it at all. So the hardest financial skill, as per Morgan Housel in this book, is to get the goalpost to stop moving. Because every time you see something on your Instagram feed, the goalpost moves. Every time you see something on LinkedIn of how some other business owner is making a little bit more, the goalpost moves. Your personal goalpost keeps moving. And I actually like to differentiate between the business goalpost and the personal goalpost because the business is there to help a lot of other people rather than just myself. And I do want the business goals to be slightly higher, but for my own self, my personal goalpost is sort of going to be enough this month. Does that mean I'm going to retire early? No. Am I going to focus more energy on family and experiences? Absolutely, yes. But I'm still going to do my business because the business, like I said, helps way more people than just myself. But the difference is that now I have no need to risk what I have and what I need for that, what I don't have and what I don't need. And that's a beautiful quote. And it applies to so many things in life. There is no reason to buy that individual stock. There is no reason to bet on that company. There is no reason to invest in that IPO. There is no reason to invest in a small startup even. Like that's at this experience, 12 years of growth marketing, working as fractional CMO, CGO, what do you expect is that I start investing in smaller companies. There's no reason to do it. There is no reason to risk what I have and what I need for what I don't have. And I absolutely don't need, right? So that gives me such a freedom and peace of mind state that I'm not going to risk that. And, Morgan talks about risk management, which is something that we're going to move to next. That's the topic 4, which is the risk management and margin of safety. So for whatever you do, keep a room for error. This is also known as margin of safety. This is the most underappreciated forces in finance as per this book. Now, you could keep a low budget. You could keep your thinking flexible. You could keep your timeline really high. You could say, I don't want to make all this money in 10 years. I want to make the money in 20 years. So you are less, you have a bigger margin of safety. You have less risk when you increase your timeline. When you say, I don't need this much, I just calculated that I need only this much. Now you have more margin of safety. When you say, I'm also open to just investing in the index, and I don't really need to trade. Now you have more margin of safety having a flexible mindset. Your success as an investor will be determined by how you respond to punctuate in moments of terror. And follow up on that, Napoleon's definition of a genius was the man who can do the average thing when all those around him are going crazy. Why don't you put so much money in stocks? Why don't you buy this mutual fund? Why don't you do momentum investing? It's amazing, right? Momentum investing is amazing. Right now, it's amazing. I don't know if it's going to be amazing in 50 years. I don't know. So I want to do the average thing, which is basically investing in the index. But I'm going to stick to it. I'm going to stick to it for a very long period of time. And I'm going to document my journey here on this channel so that you can keep watching how it's working out for me, right? That brings me to a point that I may have less returns than you, and I'll be much more happier than you. Now, I don't want to be happier than you. This is not a comparison, but I actually want to have a slightly less return so that I'm happier. It's hard to explain this, but that's my game. And you have to figure out your game. You have to figure out what game you want to play. That's topic 5. That's the core takeaway, is that money actually doesn't buy anything. It just buys you the ability to do what you want, when you want, with who you want, for as long as you want. And that is priceless. This is what money really buys: freedom. So, the highest form of freedom, which I completely agree with, is the ability to wake up every morning and say, I can do whatever I want today. And that's my game. That's the game I'm playing. You have to find your own game and play that game. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in the next one. Bye.